I'd like to call to order the Plan and Zone Commission on today, Halloween, October 31st. I see nobody followed my mandatory rule of showing up in costume tonight, so I guess we'll just...
Get that memo.
You were here last time. So we'll move on to our regular meeting since we do not have a public hearing tonight. Can we do roll call, please? Commissioner Manus.
Thank you. Hepner.
Here.
Eichelberry.
Here.
Reinhardt.
Here.
Johnson excused. Tallman excused. Ingram.
Present.
Manus here. Garrington.
Boo.
Schilling. Stout.
Here.
Schneider excused. We have a quorum, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Manus. Moving on to report of City Council activity, Laura.
I have two updates for you. The first is case REZ 23-03, which is 53rd Luxury LLC's rezoning up on 53rd and Spring. That has passed as recommended by the Plan and Zone Commission, as well as ROW 23-04, which is the right-of-way vacation of Spring Street south of 53rd. That has also passed.
Thank you, Laura. Secretary's report.
With the report. Second.
Secretary's report has been moved and seconded for as printed. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, it will stay as printed. Comp plan, anything new?
Nothing to report at this time.
Thank you, Laura. We have no zoning activity, but we do have a couple subdivision items. Commissioner Reinhardt.
Thank you. Our first subject is case F23-15, request of 227 Leclerc LLC for a final plat at Riverwatch subdivision. The two-lot subdivision is located at 227 Leclerc Street on 2.42 acres in Ward 3. Staff recommends the Planning and Zoning Commission accept the listed findings and forward case F23-15 to the City Council with a recommendation for approval subject to the six listed conditions, and I so move.
Second.
Case F23-15 has been moved and seconded for discussion. Matt?
Thank you. So the subject property consists of the entire triangular block bounded by River Drive, 3rd Street, and Leclerc Street. So this is the site of a former Plaza Hotel, which was demolished in 2015. So it's currently a vacant parcel being prepared for redevelopment. There is some floodway and floodplain that consists of the entire property. So development on this parcel will have to meet the city's floodplain ordinance. The property is zoned CD, which is a downtown zoning district, which enables a variety of different mix of uses. And then it's shown as downtown on our future land use plan. So the two-lot subdivision shown on the screen in front of you, there's a lot that's created at the northeast corner of the parcel, and then a larger second lot along Leclerc Street and River Drive. There's portions of 2nd Street that have been vacated previously through a 2014 ordinance that are being incorporated into this subdivision. And then you have the floodway marked on the property as well. So with that, city staff is recommending approval of the subdivision plat as presented. The findings that it conforms with the comprehensive plan, prepares the area for future development, and the plat is consistent with subdivision requirements. And then there's just 6 conditions, most of which are fairly standard. One being the reference to the ordinance that vacates 2nd Street, making sure that appropriate utility easements are established, stormwater detention and water quality treatment will be required upon development. And then note 6 pertains to referencing the FEMA flood hazard area on the final plat.
Thank you, Matt. Commissioners, any questions at this time? Seeing none, would the petitioner like to step forward? Explain the project?
Explain the project. All right, where do I begin? There's going to be,
Please identify yourself.
oh, I'm
first.
sorry, Pete Stopulus, member of 227 LLC, Leclerc LLC, excuse me. So as you saw on the map, looking to separate the parcel into two. On the west side in Lot 1 would be a hotel development. Right now it's planned for Marriott Town Place Suites. And then Lot 2 would be a 4-story mixed use. It have restaurant, office, and on the top floor, an event center. Those are both in the planning stages from an architectural and feasibility perspective. Recently got approved for a brownfield credit with the state of Iowa. This site, obviously, as many of you probably know, has been a challenging site for a long time. And so we think we have a plan that's going to fit well and nicely down there. But the separating is important because you have two different ownership groups. We will be the main owner for both, but we have two different parties that would be involved. So having two separate lots is important for development down here on this parcel.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions of the petitioner? Commissioner Hefner?
Hey, Pete,
Hey, Tom,
you're aware of what's underground there?
what are you talking about?
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
and as was noted there about planning for flood development, we'll be bringing in fill to cover, to encapsulate that ground. Obviously, we're gonna be very careful about where we put underground utilities, but the idea is to raise the site completely out of the floodplain. That's not in the floodway, raise it up, get it out of the floodplain, and then build from there. Yeah, it's challenging, to say the least.
Any additional questions of the petitioner? Seeing none, I appreciate Mr. Stopulus.
My pleasure, thank you.
Would anybody else in the audience like to speak either in favor of or opposition to this petition? Seeing none, final call for questions of the commission. Seeing none, roll call please. Commissioner Manus?
Hefner,
Yes.
Eichelberry,
Yes.
Reinhardt,
Yes.
Ingram, no vote. Manus, yes. Carrington,
Yes.
Schilling, not here. Stelp
Yes.
passes, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Manus. Commissioner Reinhardt?
Thank you again. Our second, there you go. Our second item on the agenda is case F23-16, request of Quick Trip Corporation for a final plat of Interstate Park 4th Edition. The one-lot subdivision is located at 2409 West 76th.
2904.
I'm sorry, 2904 West 76th Street on 5.02 acres in Ward 2. I must be dyslexic. Staff recommends the Planning and Zoning Commission accept the listed findings and forward case F23-16 to City Council with a recommendation for approval subject to the listed 4 conditions. And I so move.
Do I have a second?
Second?
Case F23-16 has been moved and seconded for discussion. Matt?
All right, so the subject property highlighted in yellow, located at the corner of Northwest Boulevard and 76th Street. Currently, it's the site of the former Correct Truck and Trailer business, and then a vacant undeveloped corner. This development's closely related with the Business Commons at Silver Creek Second Edition, which was approved by this commission earlier this year. The purpose is to combine the 6 parcels to develop a truck stop, gas station, convenience store using the land south of 76th Street for its stormwater detention. So this area is zoned light industrial, which accommodates the truck stop use, and then shown as industry on our future land use map. So this is the plat of the subject property, so it's creating one lot out of the 6 current parcels. So fairly standard one lot subdivision. So with that, city staff is recommending approval of the case as presented, with the findings that it conforms with the comprehensive plan, prepares the area for future development, and the plat's consistent with subdivision requirements. So just 4 conditions. Condition number 3 is just to include a note referencing the business commons at Silver Creek Second Edition for its stormwater detention that's related to this site, and that sidewalks will be constructed upon development or when so ordered by the city.
Thank you, Matt. Commissioners, any questions of staff at this time? Commissioner Reinhardt, do you wish to speak?
Yes, please.
You pressing the wrong button to call.
It's flashing.
Go ahead.
All right, sir. I do have a question. I drove out there and took a look at that property today. And in front of the truck building, that I guess I assume that was a sales building, there looks like there's a wetlands. Is that by design? It's between the building and 76th Street. There's a full of cactuses and tall grass and that kind of stuff.
Yep, it's that building's existing detention easement, so that area does serve it currently as that detention area. With this final plat, that area will be vacated as their detention, and it will be moved south of 76th Street.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Commissioner Reinhardt. Any additional questions of staff? Seeing none, would the petitioner like to step forward?
Good evening. My name is Patrick Shellquist. I am the licensed land surveyor for this particular subdivision plat. Just to kind of echo what Matt had said, what we're looking to do is take, I forget how many parcels there are there, but essentially we're going to combine them into one lot, and that will be the new Quick Trip store. And also, like they had mentioned, the detention site, which you have already approved earlier this year, will be across the street as a separate plat. I believe Quick Trip's completed the purchase of all these parcels, and this is kind of last step in a process to get everything done for them. So.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions of the petitioner? Commissioner Garrington.
How are you going to get the water across the street? Are you planning a tunnel underneath or something?
I'm not entirely sure. That's a design question. I'm not the design engineer for that one.
It will be piped under the street.
Okay.
Any additional questions of the petitioner? Seeing none, I appreciate you attending.
Thank you.
Would anybody else in the audience like to step forward and speak either in favor of or opposition to this petition? Seeing none, final call for questions of the commission. Again, seeing none, Commissioner Manus, roll call, please.
Thank you. Stowe.
Yes.
Darrington.
Yes.
Manus, yes. Tallman, excused. Reinhardt.
Yes.
Eichelberry.
Yes.
Hepner.
Yes.
Passes, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Manus. And thank you, Commissioner Reinhardt. That will close the new business for zoning, or subdivision, and future business. Anything to speak of, Laura?
I don't believe we have, we have one final plat, I think, that's scheduled for the 14th. It's extraterritorial again, out on the west side of the city. And that's all I think we'll have for the November 14th meeting.
Thank you. Moving on to communications, we have an extraterrestrial rezoning. Oh, sorry. Request of Riverstone Group, Inc. to rezone approximately 75.26 acres of land located at the southeast corner of Harrison Street and West 90th Street from Agricultural General AG to Industrial I in unincorporated Scott County. I do have an initial question. How in the world is that not annexed with everything else that we did back in what, the 80s?
So I don't know for sure why it wasn't, but it is shown, and Matt can go over this in a little bit more detail. It is shown on Scott County's future land use as to be annexed. So just to kind of orient everybody to the land that we're talking about. It's directly east of the municipal airport and highlighted in yellow. So immediately adjacent to city limits. It is actually sewer served. So we have 2 sewer lines on the property currently. So their intention is to do a concrete and asphalt recycling plant on that property, which is why they're requesting to rezone it to industrial. So this is the Scott County future land use map. Any area on these maps that are outlined in black state that it's future annexation areas. So its current zoning is ag. They didn't provide a future zoning for it, and it's outlined as to be annexed in. So this is the subject area next to our current zoning districts. The old Caterpillar plant is I-2, although it doesn't function that way. Airport and the surrounding area is I-1, which is our light industrial. That use, if it was annexed in the city, would be an I-2 use. And this is our comp plan, so civic and institutional for the airport and industry for everything else. So there's no action that necessarily needs to be taken by plan and zone. This is an FYI for you only. The status of this is that staff has reviewed it. We are recommending opposition to the mayor's office on this, that it should be annexed into the city first before it's developed. And then at a later date, once it's annexed in, it would come to plan and zone. So that is our request to the Scott County Plan and Zoning Commission and to the Scott County Board of Supervisors.
I would highly recommend that direction. I remember when King's Material wanted to build their plant, which happened to be in line with one of the runways, they had to totally revamp from a vertical structure to a horizontal process by the FAA. I mean, it was pretty rigid, the rules. Now, does the FAA, what's the distance from the runways? I mean, I can only imagine the amount of dust that could be generated from this that could get sucked into jet engines if the winds are out of the east or southeast.
Yes.
Does the FAA get involved in something like this, or do they have to be notified?
So for development, yes, they would have to. For rezoning, I don't think that they are. I have alerted the airport manager of this, and he has alerted all of the leaseholders of all the hangars and as well as the National Guard regarding this and its potential impact on the airport. And that's another reason for the opposition for this use specifically. So I don't know if the FAA would get involved again for the rezoning itself, but for any kind of development in that area, they would be. They'd have to do some clearance information, and in particular for something that produces particulates in the air, that would be something that they would review.
Laura, I would like to personally thank you for that work you're doing on this, and speaking on behalf of this commission, I think we all are in agreement that we appreciate your efforts there. Commissioner Hefner, you had a question?
Yeah, I did. I didn't want to speak for the commission, so I appreciate your words, Chairman Ingram, but this is something that kind of surprises me that we would consider. I mean, I'm friendly with the Riverstone Group, of course, a great business, but it's also a gateway to our community. We've got a lot of, let's say, high-end people coming in through that airport. And as we construct, as developers, new hangars for the airport for private aircraft, I would really look at that. Very important. So I know a lot of people have invested a lot of money in the industrial park behind there. There's some beautiful buildings back there, Jewel Tool, Swiss Valley, on and on. A significant amounts of dollars have been spent there. So to put a plant like this so close to those buildings and our gateway into the community is a bad choice, in my opinion. Thank you.
I appreciate those comments, Commissioner Hefner. Commissioner Reinhardt.
Thank you. Just an aside, I have a civilian, federal-approved aircraft engine and power plant license. And if something like this was to go in, there would have to be dramatic air scrubbing systems to prevent particulate from being captured by jet engines, as well as the potential damage to reciprocating engines. So right now, is the way it's talking about it, doesn't fly, literally.
Thank you, Commissioner Reinhardt. Any additional questions from commission? Any final comments from the audience?
So one thing I'll make an update on this is that it's tentatively scheduled to go to public hearing and recommendation at the Scott County Plan and Zone Commission's November 22nd meeting.
And they meet at which building?
I think it's their administrative building. I can double check.
Could you maybe send out an email?
Yes,
to
I can do that.
us? Thank you, Laura. Any additional discussion on this subject before we close it? Seeing none, we'll move on to other business. Laura?
I have nothing further.
Okay.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor of adjournment signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned, and thank you very much for your attendance and communication.